I'm playing against an experienced member of the ChessBase India chess club. He comes there often, and this is the first time we are playing against each other. I open my game with e4. It's the Sicilian that he plays. Knight to f3, e6, and I play the open Sicilian. Pawn takes, knight takes, and a6, the Sicilian Kan. And I tell him that, you're playing Amruta's favorite opening. And actually, he has learnt this opening from Amruta's series of Khan on ChessBase India, and I played Bishop d3, the same move that Pragnananda played against Magnus Carlsen recently. So Queen comes to c7, I simply castle. It's 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Now the main move that Magnus played here was knight f6, but b5 is a little too soon, I feel. And now hitting the queen side with a4 makes a lot of sense. b4 is played. A good move now is to play knight d2 and maybe put the knight here. But I pushed my pawn to c3. Bishop b7. A lot of people keep coming to the club, and I greet them. It's very nice to be there at the Phoenix Marketcity every Saturday 5 to 7 p.m. open for all. Okay, now how do we continue? One idea is to put the bishop here on e3, continue with normal development, but I take, bishop takes, and now maybe when the bishop moves from here, it's a good idea to go queen g4 and attack g7. As you can see, I'm quite low on time now, and he's moving very quickly. Knight f6, attacking the e4 pawn. I decide to play knight c3, and my point is, if you take here to attack the e4 pawn, I'm going to go rook c1 and take this with my rook. And look at him trying to checkmate me, and he says Amruta should at least be proud of the way I play, because now the idea is knight g4. Even if I play h3, knight g4 continues to be a threat, although here maybe I'm completely fine, so maybe it's h3 is a good move. But of course I was a bit tensed here. A move like f4 does not really work because of knight g4, and h5 is in general a useful move. So I played f3, killing two birds with the same stone. Knight g4 isn't possible, and I bolster my center here. He comes back, which is a nice move because he saw that this is now weakened, this diagonal, and he puts his bishop back on c5. I bring my rook to c1, and now there is a pin that is coming up here. The game is getting quite exciting. He has 2 minutes 34 seconds. I have just 1 minute 20 seconds. He brings his queen to b6, pinning me further down here. I move my knight to e2. More than anything else, I want to sacrifice an exchange here. e5, that's not a good move. And I simply take it because this, I know that my rook is worth the bishop, especially because the dark squares are now tremendously weak. Queen takes, and knight jumps to f5, defending the bishop here and also attacking the g7 pawn. Black is in big trouble here. This is now a winning position for white. I just have to take care of my time. My opponent is a bit surprised about what to do. In fact, instead of pushing his pawn to e5, he should have brought his knight out to c6. It would have led to a very interesting position there. But now we are at this moment with knight to f5, and he decides to come back to f8. And here there are many interesting moves. One of them is queen c2 with the idea of getting in here. Queen c2 with bishop c5 as well coming up. So many possibilities. I spend some time and play bishop c4, threatening now knight d6 check, opening up my queen and trying to win the bishop. And this is now not an easy moment for him, because how do you stop the knight d6 move? I have now 58 seconds while he has 1 minute 30 seconds. The position is quite lost, but maybe the move that he should aim for is d5, because that will at least stop my knight d6 move. You can see that although my opponent had built up a lot of time on the clock, his issue is that now he has to burn it down because his position is not good. d5 played. Now, of course, I could take here, e takes d5, but then I was not so happy that knight d6 is no longer possible. So here, I started to see what is hanging in the position. That's generally a good way to think. What exactly is not defended? And you can try to attack it. But look at my time. I'm down to 34 seconds. 32 now. Oh my god. I play queen b3, which is the best move in the position, because if he takes my bishop, I take here, threatening check here, threatening the rook, which is completely lost. He plays his bishop to c6. I take on d5 now. Time wise, 32 seconds for me. He has 40 seconds left. Comes back with the bishop, attacking the knight. I move in to attack the rook. Maybe another idea was to defend my knight with knight g3 and then move in. That would also have been pretty strong. But now queen b7. And seeing that there is no way to defend the rook, and also going low on time, he takes on f5. I think a bit. Is there something that I can do to checkmate him? I take on a8. And he plays queen to d6, which is the best move here. Now it's all about intuition. You don't have much time to think. b4, an interesting move. If he takes the pawn, there is check. But he plays castles and I play bishop c5 here. And this is already lost now. His position is tough. He goes knight d7, trying to attack my own queen so that if I take on d6, he takes on a8. And now I take here, queen takes f8, bishop f8. His time is he's lost on time, but his position is also gone. Quite an intense game. Let's hear the analysis, because there's something interesting that happened here.
No, but actually it's an interesting game. If you want to just analyze.
Yeah. So all the credit goes to you. I learned from you.
But if you had beaten me, then the credit, yeah, like otherwise.
Yeah. But I have given tough, little fight. Not tough
Yes,
fight.
no, for sure. That's what I feel. Like if the knight is here, this makes sense. If my knight is not here, then I can break. And now at least we get a tempo. But my knight is not here. So I'm not sure.
So I plan to write it out this way and you will think.
Okay, my idea was if you take here, you play this. And then to take here. What other moves are already what you had?
What actually you moved it here.
Oh, you played H5.
H5. After that you moved actually this diagonal is right hand to like this. That is my knight is not developed.
Okay, here maybe you can play safe. Because this is too much, yeah. Like if I don't have this, I'm losing a piece.
But if I move this, then also not good.
It's going to sack. Because in this structure, the dark squares are so important that this is not the rook.
Okay, but actually I think this is a mistake, but this will be the correct.
But what if I take this then? I'm sure there is something. But okay, take knight at 5. Maybe you will go. Maybe this is better version. Yeah? Perhaps. But
Yeah, that's my own way. Like that.